What's up guys, my name is Lex. This is Poker Vlog number 6. Today's Friday, we're going on a road trip to Tampa Hard Rock. They're doing a tournament series, so the action should be great. We plan on playing the biggest games they have there. Hopefully we run good, but you guys will be watching the whole time to find out. It's gonna take me about 4 hours to get there, but for you guys, it's gonna be about 20 seconds, so I'll meet you there. And we made it. We are here, Tampa Hard Rock Poker Room. First time for us, maybe for some of you guys as well. We go downstairs. You can see they have a ton of tables, a ton of action. We're going to start here at 2-5, 1K cap. We're going to raise ace queen in early position. The cutoff calls, button calls, small blind calls 20, and now the big blind thinks and ends up folding. Going 4 ways to our first flop comes ace 6-3. We flop top pair, good kicker. We're gonna bet here, not too big. We bet 35 bucks. Cutoff folds, button folds, and the small blind ends up making the call. So he can have flush draws, he can have worse aces, or 4-5 for a straight draw. Turn card's pretty good for us. Queen of hearts. We make top 2 pair, but the flush draw comes in, which is something he could be calling with. We're gonna bet again. We bet about half pot, 85 bucks. He doesn't think too long and he makes the call, so I don't think he is that strong. I think he just has one pair with maybe a heart. River is the deuce of hearts. Pretty bad run out for our first hand. He checks, we check back, and he shows ace 4 with the 4 of hearts, so we lose this one. Next hand here we have ace queen again. We're going to raise to 20, and small blind and big blind make the call, so we're going 3 ways to a flop. We flop pretty well here with flopping trips. Queen, queen, 10, 2 diamonds. We bet 35, trying to get value from a 10, smaller queen, or flush draws and straight draws. Both our opponents make the call. If they're calling us here with straight draws and flush draws, there's really only one card in the deck that would give our opponents a great hand, but give us an even better hand. We prayed to the poker god himself, and he rewarded us with the ace of diamonds, bringing in king jack and the flush draw, but giving us a full house, queens full of aces. Pretty action turn card here. Small blind checks, big blind checks, and we're going to bet here with our full house. Not too big, don't want to scare our opponents away. We bet $85. Small blind thinks about it for a little bit of time and ends up folding. Big blind, however, snap calls our bet, so we're looking to get some more money in here on the river. Hopefully it's a brick so we can get paid. The river is not a brick though, it's the ace of clubs, so obviously our hand improves to aces full of queens, but now it's a double paired board, so it's just really hard to get value here from straights and flushes. We're going to bet small, trying to get a crying call here from maybe a queen, a straight, or a flush. Big blind's in the tank for a while here. She's thinking if she wants to fold or call. She eventually makes the call. We show ace queen, and obviously we're good. She flips over king 5 of diamonds for the nut flush. Even though the board is double paired, we're repping so thin when it's ace, ace, turn, and river. We're repping basically only ace queen or ace king, which is just such a small range, so I don't mind this call here with king 5 of diamonds. The camera out late here, but we check our option in the big blind with ace 7. We're going 4 ways. Flop comes king 7-6, 2 spades. Checks the button, and he bets 15 bucks. We're not going to give up our second pair this easily, so we call 15, and cutoff calls 15. Going 3 ways to the turn. Turn card is the 7 of clubs, so we end up making trips. We lead out here for about a pot size bet around $65. The cutoff calls 65, and now it's back on the button. The button ends up putting in a raise, and he's been playing pretty funky. He bought him for $200 and shoved with king 6 suited, so he's got about $50 behind. So I'm just going to call the 225, let him put the rest of it in on the river. And now it's back on the cutoff, and he's thinking now for a while. At this point, we realized we made a pretty big mistake. The turn was a 7 of clubs, we thought, but it's actually the 7 of spades. So it gave us trips, but also put in the flush. Now it makes more sense that he's raising the flop here in the 2 people. The button obviously has a flush, so we kind of misclicked here. We should have been paying attention a little bit more. We were a little bit tired. Ended up coming out where the river was the deuce of spades, so 4 spades. We check, and he checks back and shows 10-8 of spades, obviously, so we still would have lost some money, but maybe not as much. So this just shows that you always got to be paying attention. It is dark in this room, so you can get the spades and the clubs pretty mixed up. We take a break, regroup, and we finally get called for the 5-10 seat. We've been waiting about 2 hours, so we are ready to play some bigger stakes here. We sit down at the 5-10, immediately get into some action in the big blind here with King Jack. Button opens to 40, we make the call. Flop comes out Ace 10 6. We flop a gut shot to a queen, and our opponent bets $35. We're just going to make the call here. We can hit a queen for the nuts, and king high could also be good, so we can't give up that easy. We make the call at 35. We're going heads up to the turn. The turn 8 of clubs, we check, button checks back, and when he checks back here, I'm guessing he has some showdown value, so he decided not to bluff. He either hit the 8, he might have a 10, or just a weak ace like ace deuce, ace 3. Looking to improve on the river, and we do. We hit the queen of diamonds. We hit the nuts, the best hand possible. We have the nuts straight. We're going to bet, we bet 125. Our opponent can't be too strong when he checks back the turn, so we're just hoping for a crying call by a queen or a 10. Maybe a weak ace. He ends up making the call for 125. We show the nuts. He mucks. We end up winning our first hand here at 5-10. Off to a pretty good start.
Your 10-10 no limit. Final call, Tottenham. Your 10-10 no limit seat is ready.
Button opens to 35. We have pocket threes in the big blind. We're going to make the call. The button is a player we've played with at Hollywood Hard Rock. He's pretty aggressive, going to put the pressure on us. Flop comes out 10-4-3. We hit a set, bottom set here. There is a flush draw on the board, so when we check it over to him, he c-bets 65 bucks. We're going to fast play here. We're going to put in a raise. We end up making it $200, trying to build this pot. The button has about $2,000 behind, so he's not going to be folding any flush draws or over pairs here, so we're trying to build this pot up. But he does something that I didn't expect for him to do. He ends up putting in a raise to 500 bucks, so he kind of just Ming clicks it back up. So this is kind of a weird spot. I'd like for you guys to comment below what you think you would do here. He has about $1,500 behind, so I don't think we can just rip it all in here. We have the 3 of spades, so he can't have ace 3 of spades for a pair in the flush draw. He can obviously have a set of 10s and a set of 4s. If we decide to just rip it all in here, I think he's going to fold all over pairs, and he might even fold some flush draws. So I think our only option is to just flat the 500. Hopefully he puts the rest of the money in on the turn with his over pairs and possible flush draws. So we flat $500 going to the turn. Turn 4 of hearts, we make a full house right away. We check, and he insta-checks back. Obviously, that's unfortunate. We were really hoping for a bet there. The river is the queen of hearts, so now we have to decide what we want to do. Should we check and let him potentially bluff or value bet his aces or kings? Do we want to shove all in? Do we want to bet a little bit smaller? This is kind of a tough spot, not exactly sure the best line here. When he checks back the turn, in my opinion, I think that he was just trying to make a move. And if he had a flush draw, he just decided to give up. So if we check the river, I don't think he's going to be bluffing here with anything. We're going to go all in here, trying to get called by aces, kings, or ace, queen of spades. He thinks for just a little bit and lets it go. He said he had aces, but you really can never believe a poker player. Early position opens to 35, next to act calls, button calls, and small blind calls, so we're going to call here, completing the action with king jack offsuit in the big blind, hoping to smash this board, win a big pot here at 5-10. Flop comes out jack 10-5 with 2 diamonds. We do have the king of diamonds, and we flop top pair, good kicker. We check, early position raiser checks, middle position checks, and now the button bets 150 into 200. Don't really have any choice but calling here. He can have some straight draws, some flush draws, some pair and flush draws. He could have queen jack, jack 9, and jack 10, possibly ace jack on the button as well. So we just call the 150. We're going to go heads up here to the turn. Turn card is the 10 of hearts, pairs the board. We check to him and he checks this one back. Something I've noticed at 510 is the players are pretty unbalanced with their ability to slow play or trap. Usually if they have a big hand, they bet, and if they don't, they just check. So when he checks back this turn, he's pretty much saying he doesn't have a 10, pocket fives, jack 10, or even a jack. The river's a jack, we make a full house, and most people would think you should bet here, but because he didn't bet the turn, I just don't think he really has anything, and if we check, he might possibly bluff here. So we check, put in the trap, and he ends up betting 200 bucks. We snap call, show our jack, and he shows 4 or 5 of diamonds, so he flopped a pair and a flush draw. He got counterfeited on the river and ended up turning his pair into a bluff. This worked out pretty perfect. We induced him to bluff with $200 with 5 high.
Right, you're going 30.
I just want to say that I have no idea how to play PLO, and I wouldn't recommend this game. It's pretty crazy, pretty wild, and you need to have a lot of experience before playing it. I was just playing with some friends at the end of the night, and it was a lot of fun. This is basically the only hand of significance. We called a raise with Queen 665. Flop came out 4-7-8. We flopped the nuts. We checked. Everybody checked behind. The turn was E5. We still have a straight here, but we do lose to 6-9 now. But we do have blockers to that hand by having pocket sixes in our hand. So we check, and the crazy guy at the table ends up betting 150. I think we have about 300 bucks, so we're just going to go with it. There's a flush draw on board, so we shove all in. He thinks for a little bit of time, and he ends up folding. This was basically the only pot that we really won during PLO. Like I said, it's a pretty swingy game, up and down, but it is still a lot of fun. All right, that's it for the day one Tampa Hard Rock trip. We're pretty tired. We drove all the way here, then we played the rest of the day. So we're going to get a good night's sleep tonight and get ready to go after it tomorrow. Day one was okay. Couldn't really get too much going. Just kind of up and down, as you guys saw. Won some decent pots and then also lost a couple decent pots. Played 2-5, 5-10, and some PLO, so that was fun too. Don't really know what I'm doing in the PLO, but it's still fun to kind of learn a new game. The poker room was packed. Tons of people. My games were okay. They weren't too crazy, but it was still fun. If you guys like this video and you want to see more, you can go back to my channel. You can watch some more videos I have from different locations, and then make sure to subscribe so that you can see day 2 and day 3 of this Tampa Hard Rock trip. So I hope you guys like this video, and until next time, I'll see you.